Welcome to the Big Blue Breakdown, your Game Balls and Gassers edition for the Dallas Cowboys 27-20 victory over the New York Giants on Thanksgiving Day down at AT&T Stadium. Belated Happy Turkey Day to you as we go through what happened to Big Blue in this ball game. And a couple of things just to note aside from the game itself. Dexter Lawrence did not play in the second half. His left elbow had popped out. He was in the locker room talking to the media after the game was over. His left elbow in a sling, and said he did not know exactly how long they might force him to be out, hoping that the medical people will allow him back on the field so he could be with his teammates a week from Sunday when the New Orleans Saints come to MetLife Stadium to take on the Giants. Certainly, Dexter Lawrence's absence was felt in the second half of this game. The Dallas Cowboys winding up with 122 yards rushing in the contest, although they averaged less than 4 yards a carry. Dowdle had 112 yards on the day and certainly did what he needed to do to allow Dallas to try to control the narrative of the game, specifically in the second half. The other huge item from this game, obviously, and it became obvious or more clear as they were getting closer to kickoff, is that Tommy DeVito, with a strained and slightly swollen right forearm, was unable to play for the Giants. The starting quarterback saying he did not know exactly how long he would be out, but does not think it will be long. So Drew Lock got to make his first start of the season for Big Blue. Ultimately, even though 21 out of 32 is a nice efficiency rate, it was only for 178 yards. He also threw a pick six, was sacked 6 times, second most sacks the Giants have given up in a game this season. Locke showed some athleticism, did very well on 4 carries for 57 yards, including a long of 28, where it looked like he clipped the pylon for a touchdown, but on video replay review, it was determined he was out just before the goal line. The Giants would eventually go in and score on a Tyrone Tracy touchdown on the next play. Locke also did run in on a scramble for a touchdown in the fourth quarter as the Giants rallied. And I think that's one of the good things about this game is that it was 13-10 Dallas at halftime. Then Dallas opened things up. They had a 17-point lead in a dreadful third quarter for the Giants. But instead of making the game even uglier, the Giants wouldn't let the Cowboys do that. They came back with 2 fourth-quarter touchdowns, made it a one-score game in the final minutes, and Dallas was able to run out the clock and hold on to the football. We'll talk about that more later. And they wind up walking away with the 27-20 victory. So for the Giants, that does result in what is now their 7th loss in a row and drops them to 2-10 on the season. All right, couple of things about the ebbs and flows of this game. Brian Daboll made it very simple. You can't give the ball away. Turnovers will cripple you every time. So the Giants now had an opportunity at what was 1 fumble, did not recover it, and Drew Lock was charged with 2 giveaways. Both of those giveaways resulted in Cowboys touchdowns, and when you get down to it, those were the 2 most pivotal plays, and those giveaways really the difference in the ball game because it just got very ugly for Big Blue in that regard. Couple of other items that I want to mention here. We told you in the first half it was 13-10 Cowboys. Well, that's because the defense was playing extremely stout. Dallas had gotten into the Giants' red zone on 2 different occasions where they had to settle for field goals as the Giants stiffened inside the red zone. They also were able to get the ball back on a 4th and 1, stifling a running play, and took over for the offense But again, the Giants did not maximize all of the opportunities that the defense was giving them to potentially either tie the game or take the lead going into halftime. And that's where I want to go back to the final 5 minutes of the second quarter. Giants defense was very stout. Giants wind up with 3 different offensive possessions in the final 5 minutes of the first half. On the first possession, they get a field goal out of Graham Gano, but got nothing out of the last 2. Only a total of 23 yards of offense during those 3 possessions. So instead of being tied or in the lead at halftime, the Giants were down 13-10. A golden opportunity to seize the narrative of the game. And the Giants simply didn't do it. Then in the third quarter, well, that's where the defense got leaky, and it really turned sour for them. Dallas was 3 for 3 on third down conversions. 2 of those third down conversions, one went for 30 yards and one went for 36. Once again, the leaky big plays that have haunted the Giants all season long resurfaced. Now, on top of the 3 for 3 Dallas third down conversions, they had 2 other third downs, which the Giants committed penalties on and gave Dallas first downs. So in 5 third down opportunities, even though Dallas only goes down as 3 for 3 on conversions, it becomes a 5 for 5. And that's why it was an ugly third quarter, during which the Cowboys scored 14 points and took a commanding 17-point lead going into the fourth. All right, specifically for Big Blue, we go over our game balls and gassers. Now, we start with the game balls, and we're going to go on offense to rookie tight end Theo Johnson. Quiet first half, doesn't catch a pass. But in the second half, 5 receptions on 5 targets for 54 yards. And that sounds modest enough. But remember what we told you. The Giants were down at halftime 13-10 and then down by a full 17 points going into the fourth quarter. Well, in the fourth, Johnson caught 4 passes for 44. And on the Giants' final touchdown drive that cut it to a 1-score game, he caught 3 balls for 39 yards. Now, you're going to say to me, well, production coming in irrelevant time. Well, not really, because the Giants did crawl back, they did rally, and it was the kind of catches that Johnson made that really caught your eye. He was giving 250%. You saw the way he was muscling Dallas defenders downfield, and you also saw his elusiveness, his athleticism, his ability to leap over guys, swerve and cut, and get physical. All of the traits that really excite you about the upside of this Penn State rookie. Yes, he's had a few drops this year, and on the other side, he's had some solid production. But the physical athleticism that he displayed down the stretch in this game as he tried to keep the Giants from, withering away was something that was really eye-catching. And so it just increases the potential upside for this young player. So we're going to go Theo Johnson with the Giants' offensive game ball this week. On defense, well, I'm going to point to something here because of the intent and the physical action, not necessarily the result. Bobby Okereke makes a play in the third quarter, one that the Giants have been stressing now for a while. In fact, defensive coordinator Shane Bowen had said last week, the Giants really need to do something about getting more takeaways. Whether it's stripping the ball, punching the ball, getting interceptions, they got to do it. In fact, by the way, This is now 11 straight game the Giants have gone without an interception, and that sets a new NFL record. Well, early in the third quarter, it's 13-10 Dallas, and they're going in for what looks like it's going to be a touchdown. They're deep in the red zone. Cooper Rush takes off on a scramble, gets down to the Giants' 2-yard line, and Bobby Okereke gets in there and punches the ball out. It's recovered by Micah McFadden, and the Giants avoid a Dallas Cowboys scoring drive, only to be turned over correctly on video replay review because Rush's shin and knee had hit the ground just before Okereke punched it out. And it was momentary. It was very, very quick. Hard to tell right away, which is why the officials initially ruled it a fumble, and then the replay assist had to overturn the turnover. But what you like about it is that Okereke doesn't know in the action and the heat of the moment if that leg and knee are down. He went in there with a total intent of punching the ball out, and he did it. A split second too late. Okereke, 9 tackles, 2 tackles for a loss, and a pass defended. Now 5 consecutive games for Okereke of at least 9 tackles in a game. So Okereke, certainly not for lack of trying. We're going to go and we're going to give him a defensive game ball. Special teams, this is easy. Defensive back Art Green made 2 consecutive special teams coverage plays that you just absolutely love to see if you are a special teams coordinator, Gabriel. Second quarter, 9 minutes left. Punt coverage. Here comes Green, and he drills Kevontae Turpin with an incredibly ferocious tackle. Knocks the ball free. Turpin did fall on it. 0 yards on the punt return. But a picture-perfect missile-type hit. Clean. And that's the kind of thing that's going to get you noticed. On the second of his back-to-back punt coverage plays, Jamie Gillen drops the ball deep into Dallas territory, and there's Art Green again, downing the ball at the Dallas 1. Art Green, special teams, gets the game ball this week against the Cowboys. The Gassers, look, Brian Dable said it, the giveaways, the turnovers, they will destroy you every time. Both of the Giants' giveaways in Dallas resulted in Cowboys touchdowns. 14 points. Just too much for the Giants to overcome. Both of the turnovers committed by Drew Lock. 11 minutes left in the second quarter. Giants lead it 7-6. 1st and 10 from their own 40. Lock gets the play that he wants. They're going to throw a screen to the left side for Devin Singletary. Linebacker DeMarvion Overshown comes in from that side, gets chipped like he should by Singletary, who then flares out to catch the screen. And it's going to go for big yardage. Locke said he saw it all along. It's what he wanted. But instead of floating the ball over the linebacker, which could be risky in that, as he said, a lot of times in that play, when it's so slow to develop, one of your offensive linemen will get caught for a legal man downfield. So instead of floating it, he tried to work it around the linebacker, who deflected it to himself and runs it the other way, 23 yards for a pick 6, and Dallas takes the lead for good. In retrospect, Locke said he probably should have just thrown the ball into the ground and aborted the play as an incompletion. But it didn't happen that way, and the Cowboys took advantage of it. Then in the third quarter, with a minute and a half left, Giants are down 13-10. Kendricks and Lawson combined to tackle Locke for a sack. Kendricks gets credit for the forced fumble and the recovery at the New York Giants' 38-yard line. So it's bad enough that the pocket collapses, but Locke gets hit. Dallas gets the ball, and they're in golden field position. Of course, they would go in, and the drive was, let's see, went for a touchdown to make it 20-10, 38 yards on 6 plays. And now the Giants are in deep, deep trouble. They never get out of that hole. All right, on defense. Well, we told you it's 11 straight games now, setting an NFL record that the Giants have not had an interception. Well, this was also the third time in the last 4 games that the one-time NFL sack-leading Giants defense was held without a sack. That's not so good. As a matter of fact, the Giants had only 3 quarterback hits in the game. Not enough. And they had a slew of missed tackles, too many to count. They gave up 2 30-yard plays to the Cowboys offense, both converting third down opportunities. And each of those 30-plus yard plays were on touchdown drives. So I'm not going to isolate anybody on defense on this one. Once again, I'm just going to say the whole defense really has to run the gassers for this, because the production's just not enough. All right, we go to the special teams gasser, and it goes to running back Eric Gray. 11.5 minutes left in the second quarter. C.J. Goodwin forces a fumble. Matthew Adams, Giants backup linebacker, able to recover at the Giants' 40-yard line. But we can't overlook the fact that Gray had the ball pop free from his grip once again. That's the third time this season that Gray has put the ball on the ground. Again, fortuitous for him and the Giants, especially considering he's in the Giants' own territory, that Matthew Adams was able to pick it up and not allow Dallas more golden field position. But just can't be putting the ball on the ground. And when you consider that, Gray has not had a ton of touches on the season, to have 3 fumbles, it's rather worrisome. He continues to be back there with Smith-Marsette as the Giants' 2 kickoff return guys. They don't seem to want to change it. And in fact, for most of the season, Gray has been among the NFL leaders of the qualifiers on kickoff returns at over 25 yards a return. So you can also understand to some degree why the Giants want to keep putting him back there. But at the same time, it is starting to become a concern putting the ball on the ground. So my special teams gasser goes to Eric Gray. So the Giants fall to 2-10 on the season. They will have treatment for the trainer with the trainers for the injured players today. They'll get a few days off, and then they will be back to start preparing for the New Orleans Saints on Monday. Of course, we'll be back with the Big Blue Breakdown, a live version of the program, taking your video calls, your audio calls, as well as your chats right here on the YouTube page of the New York Giants on SI Media Network, as the Giants then get ready to take on the New Orleans Saints. That'll be Wednesday night, as always, every Wednesday, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. I'm Paul Dottino, and we will see you then.